Should I sit up more?
You look good. Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. See how fast it goes live? Happy Tuesday again. Today's Tuesday, June 19th. I'm with my friend, Jerrell Watson. Oh, and somebody's bringing, I hear the doorbell. It's kind of like one of those TV shows when somebody walks in. My liver thinks that might be a glass of wine. And Drew, look at Drew. Say hi, Drew. We're live.
How you doing?
Because we have food in front of me. Thank you, Drew. And there was no way that I was going to taste that food, as delicious as it smells and looks, and not have a glass of wine or something with it. So Jerrell and I have been friends here up at the club for a while. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. So let us know you can hear us or see us. Hey, Diane. Hey, Shelly. This is kind of a different show. We've got all sorts of different today. Different show because Jerrell is going to talk about branding. I labeled it Let's Get Saucy, and there's a whole reason for that. Hey, Wyatt. But I have food in front of me that is kind of we're utilizing his product, which I'm fascinated by, and it smells so good and looks good. So give us a little background on you. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ted. It's awesome to be on the show, and a little bit about me.
Tell us a little bit about you.
I'm originally from South Carolina, a little town called Paxville, which is as small as it sounds. Paxville, and grew up there and moved on to college over in Norfolk, Virginia, and studied there, and I got recruited here in 1995 by Disney.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's right. You have this amazing. So I posted your bio. You have a lot of hats that you wear or have worn.
Yes, definitely that.
And what did Disney recruit you to do?
So I started off in management at the Magic Kingdom and was there for about 4.5 years in operations. So I had areas from, like Adventureland, Liberty Square, and the attractions area, operations, and was also operations manager and custodial in those areas, fresh out of college. And then after about 4.5 years in operations, I went over to labor relations. So there I administered collective bargaining.
Oh, are you like you're HR then?
Yeah,
sort of.
The dark side.
The dark
side.
No pun intended.
Exactly. And learned a lot there, and so I cut my teeth in HR, or that part of HR, and compliance and that type of thing. And so I left Disney actually after 11 years. In 2009, I took a director of HR position here in town. Stayed there for about 2.5 years and decided to step out on my own. But what's interesting is I had picked up my real estate license back in 2006.
That's right. You're also a realtor.
That's right. Keller Williams at the Parks. Shameless plug. Yeah, so I started doing that and started another consulting firm to kind of play off of the HR experience. So I had two partners that were also in HR.
How do you go from corporate, like what was in your beginning, like as you're in South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Did you know what you wanted to do? Did you have an idea? Were you just kind of following somebody else's lead?
Yeah, no clue. Actually, I really went to school to play baseball. I was very good in baseball, was scouted, and that was just my passion. So I didn't get drafted initially, so I said, well, hey, I got to go to college, to continue to play, and that's what I did. And it was great for a while, played for a number of years, but then decided to stop and focused on Plan B, which was getting my undergraduate degree in business management, and that's when I got recruited by Disney.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I see you didn't put baseball in your bio.
It's there. It's at the
it
very
is?
bottom. Yeah,
I have
bottom.
to look. Well, we all know how much I read. But when you were recruited to Disney, Did you have family here? Did you have anyone, or you just came on your own?
Zero.
So what was that like, leaving small town? Well, you were in college, so that wasn't a small town, right?
It was definitely not. It's small town where I'm from, but coming here, I'm an only child, so I'm very comfortable operating on my own. So,
what did your family think of you moving here without them?
Some loved it and some cried. Why would you want to go down that far? And it's so interesting, especially being from small town. You see Disney on TV on Sundays, remember the shows
Absolutely.
and whatnot. But you really never, we would come to visit, once every other summer or whatever, but you really did not fathom working there.
Right.
So I got that opportunity, and then all of a sudden, I had relatives that I didn't know I had, and friends of friends that automatically wanted to then start vacationing in.
Oh, listen, we all want the passes. We want the passes. Or back on that. I mean, I think we look for somebody we know. I see people post on Facebook,
Correct.
Hey, anybody, let me know if you can get me into Universal or Disney. We're all still of that ilk because it's like $950 to go per person.
Exactly.
Nothing against Disney, I'm exaggerating. Did you always have the entrepreneurial spirit?
Definitely. Which was part of the reason why I stepped away and moved on to another opportunity. Because again, it was a great professional opportunity, but in the back of my mind, I really wanted to have my own business and just venture out there and see what could happen. And in 2015, after having our consulting business for a while, and we did fine.
What kind of consulting did you do?
It was a human capital management firm, which basically
What is human capital management? I love it.
It's consulting with organizations to help them better utilize their human capital, which is their people.
Very cool.
So
it still has an HR base. We love you too, Shirley.
Yeah. It has an HR base. Of course, I came from the HR world and labor relations, and my business partner was an attorney, and he was also HR. And our third business partner he's a PhD in psychology, but also delved a lot into culture and change management and diversity. So
that must have helped. So you have a knack then for managing people. You have a knack for understanding people.
Correct.
Which also could, I imagine it helps. Well, I know it does because I have the same thing. It helps with the entrepreneurial spirit and what you're doing.
Correct.
Because you have to not just manage people, and I'm not talking about top level management and that kind of stuff. I mean managing people, trying to understand what their needs are, really trying to read them.
Yes.
And that obviously was important in HR, but it's certainly important. Oh, see, Mary's there. Once at Disney, always loyal to Disney. That's true, Mary.
Definitely.
It's true. Mary's there 30. She celebrated 30 years.
Wow.
I know. She was 4 when you went, right, Mary? But yeah, I think that you have to understand how to read people, and HR must have given you a great background in that.
Definitely that, and also management, because the way you motivate people, because no one person is the same. And so to understand how to motivate them is to also understand who they are and not treat them, as one group.
Right.
Yeah.
Has to be individual. Has to be individual.
Has to be, correct.
All right. So did you sell your consulting business?
No, we just dissolved it, and we're in different directions. I was still on my own, and my partners, they had full-time jobs and had to focus in their areas, but we're still very tight, but just decided to go a different way, because actually the reason why was because I knew I wanted to then pursue this. Okay,
so let's talk about this, because Let's Get Saucy obviously has something to do with Edith's Best, which I tagged in the post a couple of times. But if you're entrepreneurial, how do you land on Edith's Best? How do you land on a sauce, and how do you land on an idea? Because if you're branding, you have to think it all the way through. You have to figure out if the product even makes sense to you.
Yes.
Diane Bourne says, I think I remember interviewing with him back in the 90s at Walt Disney World. Wow. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Diane was also 4 back in the 90s. But yeah, how do you land on something? Because I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs and people who are trying to brand, they're not sure what they want to land on, but you have to have a passion for it. You have to believe in it.
Correct.
In order for you to really sell it, or in order for you to market it. So how did you decide, what kind of process did you go through to decide where you landed now?
What I'll tell you is, first and foremost, I believe that all of us, we see these TV shows, we see the Shark Tanks, and we see all of that, and we think that our ideas or our entrepreneurship endeavors have to be these great, grandiose ideas. And to be honest with you, I had been making this sauce for years. I mean, I was very cavalier about it. I'd make some at the house, or if I did something, I would make some. And actually, I would even give it away. So it was always there, but just really never paid any attention to it. But one of the things I tell budding entrepreneurs, or even folks that are still in the 9-to-5 space, is that when you're working in a different environment other than the one that you choose to be in, it stifles your creativity.
Absolutely.
And so what happens is that when I had a chance to settle, not necessarily because I necessarily wanted to, but I had a chance to say, wow, this could be an opportunity. My wife, she had been telling me for years I need to do something, but I went and I pursued other things. And so
she'd been telling you to do something
with the sauce.
With the sauce. Okay.
Correct.
So you had built up kind of a family friend following.
Correct.
For your sauce. This is 100% your creation.
Correct.
This isn't some franchise thing that you did.
Correct.
Does it go good with crab? Wyatt, I'm going to probably say yes.
Yes.
I'm dying to taste it. If you guys could see it, and you'll see it in a minute. But it's one thing to make a sauce for family barbecues and give it to friends. It's another thing to figure out how to package it, how to brand it,
Correct.
how your marketing plan. I'm sure the HR part in you, the understanding people
Correct.
helped. But how do you go from step one of, okay, I'm ready to do it, your wife's behind you, to going, all right, I'm going to take the leap? What's the first thing you do? And I think a lot of people want to know that, because I believe there's so many entrepreneurial people out there, they just don't know what to do next.
Well, I'll tell you, we obviously definitely would never have enough time, but I'll tell you, the really quick version is that when I decided to really move forward, obviously on a shoestring budget, you start trying to, you go back into the hustle mode. And so I had to understand, obviously, with food consumption, you have to make sure that you have to have nutritional facts and make sure it's tested. And so rather than going to a lab, I called up the University of Florida and I asked to speak to the food sciences department, because I had heard that maybe I could get students to review it for me. I ended up talking to the head of the department, and he said, hey, listen, you need to either talk to a lab or you need to find a co-packing facility. I ended up talking to a local co-packing facility here they were out of Palaca, they're now in Daytona. And they were able to do all my testing and all of that for me.
Wow.
Packaging, whole 9 yards. And so when you pull back on the Disney piece of it, you're taught branding in your sleep.
Sure. Absolutely.
So I was able to leverage that. And so I knew that I wanted to have a premium product. I knew I wanted something that was appealing to look at. And I also wanted something that was very good. And already, when you're doing something, you really don't know how good it is.
Well, it's one thing to use it at home.
Correct.
It's another thing to taste it when it comes out of the packaging, out of the
Correct.
Bottle that you put it in.
Correct.
It can be completely different.
That's exactly right. And so I sampled it with, friends and family and, folks from church and that type of thing. And you know what? Got some really great responses. And so I moved forward, had an idea for a label. And the cool thing about this is that when you talk about marketing, it's always evolving. So,
sure. That's a great point.
It's always evolving. And so I launched out Edith's Best. I wanted to name it after my grandmother, who I was very close with.
I was going to ask you where Edith came from.
Definitely. And she instilled a lot in me, the work ethic, understanding about being the best that you can be at whatever you do. And I wanted that to be shown in the label, the taste. And actually, even because with the taste, it's, okay, well, where does this sauce take me back to? Can I remember, when you're enjoying great food, and how it made you feel? Because back then, that's really all you had was food to bridge the gaps. Yeah.
So what did you do with the tasting part, the testing part? Because I had never actually thought about it until you just said it. Yeah, it's one thing to make it, but then it's not like you're buying empty containers at the grocery store and then pouring them in and trying to sell it somewhere. You have to have all of the beautiful packaging, which we'll show you in a minute. You have to have the nutritional value, because you could have issues if you don't have that on there.
That's right.
And then people would be afraid, well, I want to know what's in it.
Correct.
I want to know how many calories it is, because maybe they're allergic to something.
That's exactly right.
So that's a lot of testing. It's time for a TED Show picnic. Yes, it is. Inside, that's sort of what we're doing right now, Wyatt. All right, so what was the first sale that you made? Because I think a lot of people go, all right, he's done all this work, he's invested all of his time. How do you get out there and market it? Because just because you believe in it doesn't mean you can convince anybody else to believe in it. It doesn't mean people are going to like it. Do you sell to stores and restaurants?
Yes, I do.
Yes, Shelley.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
What was interesting about this was actually my first sales came from folks right around me at church. Because we'd done picnics, or I brought it out, to church, and folks said, "Hey, listen, I heard about it. Hey, let me give you something for it." So that was the first sale. But I'll be honest with you, and it was one of those things that really convinced me that, wow, you really have something that people like. In 2016, I launched it on Amazon, and after several weeks, they named it their hottest new release.
Wow.
And I said, wow, there could really be something here. And from there on, we're just kind of wading around in the water with it. I was getting sales, but just really didn't understand, the various streams of distribution, and whether it be stores, whether it be online. I knew that from a shipping perspective, it was very difficult to do it on my own. So Amazon gave me that piece.
That's true.
They gave me that piece, and my co-packer allowed it to be mass produced. So I didn't have to worry about trying to, make it on my stove and having to worry about an FDA facility, and that type of thing. So it really helped me, because sometimes I think as business owners, and these are the same things that I would coach leaders about, especially as I left Disney, or just in consulting period, is, sometimes the leaders have to go out and do what they need to do to grow the business. They have to learn to let go of certain things, so in order to make sure that the company runs effectively. So you have to outsource certain things, and that's where my co-packer comes in. That's where an Amazon comes in. And so after that first year of trial and error and that type of thing, I then ventured into stores. So one of my first stores was the Ancient Olive in Winter Park.
Oh yeah,
that was one of my first stores. And
when you go in, are you like, how do you present? I think because we have a lot of chefs on here, people who've been on the show that are chefs, people who watch, and so I'm sure they all have a sauce, a special dish, a special something, and they've thought about manufacturing it, bottling it, whatever. But to actually get it to this point where you can take it to a store. Then you still have to convince the store. Why would they want to put it in? And that's for any product, and that's why I think this lesson is good for any product. So you go to Ancient Olive.
The Ancient Olive,
And what do they say?
Well,
open arms, or they go, tell me a little more.
To be honest with you, what was great was, and that's the beauty of stores that are very, very friendly to small business owners. And I knew that I had a specialty item, so that store was right up, right in my bed, right in my wheelhouse. And you know what they did for me? They said, hey, listen, you know what? Let's see what happens. I'll tell you what, sell your product here. Let's see how you do on sales, and we'll go from there.
Perfect.
Man, I want to say I maybe sold about 2 cases, and they were like, hey, look, we want a case before you leave. But the blessing, it's not about that. It was more about the fact that they were willing to give a small business owner a chance.
I love that.
And
so shout out to them. That's awesome.
Special shout out to Tracy. Hey, Tracy.
That's what you want. I mean, you want people to, because otherwise, what else are you going to do? I mean, it's the local stores where really the word of mouth goes.
That's exactly.
And so that is awesome that Ancient Olive did that for you.
Yeah.
So we can't get crab right now, Wyatt. I want to try it. But I want you to give them a little idea of what's in the sauce, what the sauce tastes like. Like, give them an idea of what the whole. And I'll hold it up because it's backwards here, but we'll post everything.
Yeah.
But what's in the sauce? What makes it different?
So it's different. So let me give you an idea of the flavor. So the flavor has a very slight hint of heat, and then it transitions literally to a more sweet and tangy flavor. And one of the thoughts, and this pulls from my southern roots, is we season everything. So every layer of your food is seasoned.
Yeah.
So anything you choose to put on your food after that, it just enhances it. So to me, I consider it a really good food enhancer. It's not going to overpower your food. It's really just going to enhance whatever it is that you eat. And so it's great on meats, fish, vegetables, seafood, and French fries too, of course. And
I love it. So Chef, thanks to Chef, by the way, at the Citrus Club, he brought out an amazing salmon dish and some French fries. So when he brought the French fries out, I'm like, why would you bring French fries out? But it's literally on the packaging. Great on vegetables, meat, fish, and French fries. But the reason that I wanted to do this, when Jerrell came to me, is because I feel like this is showing, he's kind of giving you his story start to finish. Like, here's a full product where you're an entrepreneur and you want to get out there and you want to do something different. He's taken it all the way to the nth degree and now is in that position where he's actually able to market it and mass produce it and get it out there in all of the different marketing platforms that we have available.
Correct.
All right, so I would like to try. I haven't tried it yet. I purposefully did not try it today, even though I had an opportunity. But I want to give it a try. And what am I going to expect? I'm going to expect a little heat, but is it mustard based? Give them a little bit of background on how you came up with the flavor.
It's a really nice blend, and
a blend. You know why I would love a blend.
So the great thing about, and the other thing, and this is how you know you're operating your space, and the blessing of it is, not only is this a condiment, right, that I really believe that can be utilized on pretty much anything. The other great thing about it, which is uncharacteristic of a condiment, it's gluten-free. And there's no high fructose corn syrups in it.
Oh, good to know.
So the labeling is it's a great label for label watchers. So there's only 3 grams of sugar and only 80 milligrams of sodium, which is better than most condiments out there.
That's so important to know because that is so important to so many people. All right, I want to show a picture of what this looks like. Look what Chef did.
Isn't that awesome?
That's the salmon with the grit cake and the spinach, wilted spinach on the bottom.
Yeah, spinach,
And of course the French fries. I'm going to go wild.
Oh.
But I really thought that the message was important because I have a lot of entrepreneurs that come on here and they're very service oriented. So to have a product, when I do talk to so many people who want to produce something, it's a physical thing.
Correct.
This is different than providing a service when you're an entrepreneur.
Correct.
The service is usually intangible.
Correct.
And this is a tangible thing that you have to get through like a million different steps. You can just say, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm going to provide HR consulting, and nobody cares. I mean, they care, but they don't. There's no product
exactly
there.
Right.
This is really a lot of work, and I think there's a lot of people out there that want to do that. Are there other flavors? We just talked about this earlier. Go ahead and tell her the story on that.
No other flavors. We're going to do this really, really well. And let this be the flagship, because the interesting thing about Edith's Best, the parent company, is that, I may not be just tied just to the sauce. I want to do this really, really well, but I want you, once you've had the sauce, to really understand that, hey, listen, you know what, this is a quality product, and this company produces quality products, and that I want it to be something that sustains, that it transcends me, that I can pass along to my children and something.
Because I think a lot of people, when they are creative, we have a lot of creatives in this, especially in this city, but in general, entrepreneurs are creatives.
Correct.
And they don't. It's kind of like me. So I've got these ethereal ideas.
Correct.
I would have to have a team of 1,000 people to put this in motion because I don't have the implementation skills. My skills are more on the creative side, but you had to take it all the way through.
Correct.
Do you have any dry spices or rubs?
Not at this particular time.
I love it. Good question.
But it's a thought, and I've considered it as well.
All right, so I want to take a bite.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then you get to see me. I will not spit it out, I promise. All right, you get to hear me grunt as a crazy person. That is delicious. All right, you're right on the heat. So what's that heat flavor that I'm getting?
A little bit of ground pepper, and you got some turmeric in there, and some red peppers as well.
That's very good.
Yeah.
So how did you decide, how did you come up, did you have to, in the early days, did you have to come up with a different recipe? Because just because you have a recipe that you use at home doesn't mean it will necessarily translate to mass production, right? That you have to add different things than you would at home. How did that process work?
To be honest with you, this is very authentic.
I love it.
It's very authentic. There's nothing that I had differently. Now, one of the the ingredients that you use, especially for it to be more a healthier concept, of course I had to change that a little bit. But for the most part, it's very authentic.
I love it.
Yeah.
What does Jerrell like to pair with his sauce the most when he eats it at home? Well, I chose a white wine, Mary. But that's a great question. So what do you pair with it?
Well, what's interesting, Mary, is I spoke with a local business here in town, and they're a wine bar. And I went through, because I haven't been an avid wine drinker, learning that whole, learning wines and that type of thing. But he was actually showing me how to pair it with a Riesling, how to pair it with a Merlot. And it was interesting to watch that. So now, again, because your business is always evolving, I'd never considered that with wine pairings until he showed me. So now I just evolved even more so. It makes me more dangerous because now I can say, well, hey, try it with this particular wine.
Well, it's very delicious with a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, I can tell you that right now. So Wyatt's like he's drooling. Will you try a French fry? So of course I will.
Definitely.
And I'm a big sauce person. I think the sauce makes such a huge difference. Mm-hmm. I like seasoning. And I don't like bland foods at all.
There you go. Exactly.
I don't have to have heat for heat, but I like to have something that, what food product, Sauv Blanc aside? See, Mary's trying to get past, she wants you to talk, so you go ahead and talk.
So the concept of French fries is this. One, because it is a healthier condiment. For those that have children, this is and it's not boring like ketchup and some of the others. And let's just face it, French fries is $1 billion business.
That is delicious on the fries. I would have not thought that, at all, but ketchup has so much sugar in it. I get it. No, I like the whole thought process.
So that's unique about this sauce is that it's healthier than normal condiments. It can be used in so many different ways. So rather than, oftentimes, if you look in your refrigerator, you have condiments for everything. So I never branded or marketed it as a hot sauce or a barbecue sauce. It really and truly is. It says always amazing with anything. You can use this every time.
Triple
you sit
A.
at your dinner. That's the AAA.
So Punjab says the sauce is awesome. We use it on brisket, ribs, and chicken. How do you now go? So you're going out to more stores as you're growing.
Correct.
Are you doing? Again, this is all part of the marketing part and the branding.
Correct.
I see you going to like local fairs or local events. How does that promote the brand? And is that a difficult way, or do you feel like it's a good way for you to really connect one-on-one with people?
You know, I do have a mentor who's been in the industry for years, which is what happened with me actually changing my labels, because I needed to make myself a little bit more commercial, right, with the labeling. And so one of the things that I do is I'm in the Winter Garden Farmers Market. And that's the beauty of having your own product, because now you're not scripted. You get to, people want to connect with you. So the way that we're connecting with the audience today is exactly, I get to tell my story right there. How often do you get to meet the person that makes a product that you eat?
You don't. That's why what you're doing, I think, is so smart, which is why I want to encourage other people to do it. You have to have a story behind it, and you have to make the connection. You can't just all of a sudden wake up and go, yes, we're going to provide all of that, Wyatt, after the show. You can't just wake up and go, I have this, I'm sorry, I'm drooling because it really is delicious. You can't just wake up and say, okay, I'm going to bottle my favorite sauce, or I'm going to bottle my favorite rub, or put it all together. You really have to make the connection. You have to also make sure that just because you like it doesn't mean it's going to be able to be mass produced and other people are going to like it.
You're 100% on that. And the other thing, and I think where the HR piece comes, or labor relations for that fact, is having tough skin. You know, because you're tied to this. This is yours. So if someone doesn't like it, it doesn't mean that the population, you're not going to please everyone.
Correct.
So understand that, but use that as strength to say, okay, well, what makes them not like it? You know, is it just personal preference, or is there something I could have done differently? Because you constantly have to know what's going to appeal to your public. And so that's why, or to your base. And so that's why, you know, I'm vegans, you know, my vegan family, you know, I'm in a vegan store district, the district at Mills 50.
Yeah.
I'm in there, and they love the fact that they can enhance their foods with that, and it's a great label.
Sure.
You know, so just really, you know, connecting, doing tastings at the various stores that I have around, and just talking about it. But it's more conversational, because, you know, as opposed to selling.
Correct.
You know, it's conversational. Who doesn't like to eat?
Obviously I do. What's your favorite thing to cook with it?
I will be honest with you. Salmon is one of them.
Oh, good.
I smoke a lot of meats. I do smoke a lot of meats. I like it on vegetables. You know, you can be very creative with it. So imagine putting that on your salad. You could use it as a salad dressing, or spice up one of your other salad dressings like a ranch.
Wyatt, if you bring the crab, I'll bring the bottle of Edith's Best. Poor guy. He's dying for some crab and Edith's Best.
You'll love it, trust me.
All right, so we're going to share all of Edith's Best and Jerrell's contact information when we share the video. I'm going to eat. So what I want Jerrell to do is leave us with any words of wisdom, anything you want to leave them with, not only just about the product, but about your whole journey.
Correct. The thing I like to lead with, I want to use Edith's Best, the parent company, as a platform to inspire others. You know, if you have a vision, there's nothing wrong with following it, because if you don't follow your vision, someone will hire you to follow to help support theirs.
It's true.
So that's the first thing. Two, be true to it. And every day, it's not going to be easy, because if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it.
That is true.
You know, don't be afraid to be you. Because oftentimes, you know, people don't believe in your vision until they see something tangible. And then all of a sudden, they become experts. So be mindful who you let into your space when you have ideas. Protect your ideas. And don't be afraid to fail. Because trust me, there are some days that I sit in my office at home like, what was I thinking? You know,
we all have those days, and I'm glad that you shared that, because I think a lot of people go, "Oh my God, he's on top of the world. He doesn't have another bad day. He's got exactly what he wanted to be doing. He's doing." But you still have those moments, and it's okay to have those moments, which is what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly. Support small businesses. You know, if you're out somewhere and they're out, you know, displaying their products. Even if you don't buy, I know this is a shameless plug, but even if you don't buy, talk to them. Because our days at Disney, what are people drawn to? Lines.
Right. That's true.
You know, so
there's a whole method to that madness.
So please, just support small business. And again, if there's any, this is a specialty item, so I really look for those areas that could appreciate this particular product. Restaurants, casual dining, and other specialty stores around town, and we look to expand as well. So when you can, support all small businesses, not just mine, and continue to keep me in your thoughts.
I love it. You're awesome, my friend, and it really is good because I can't fake anything at all. So I would have probably just moved along and tried to figure out how to end the interview. It's delicious, and I'm thankful for you sharing your story.
I appreciate
it's so
you having
important.
me.
Look, he's done it. He's taken his dream and he's taken it all the way to products on Amazon, and now I get to eat it. So we'll share all of his information after the show. We love you guys, appreciate you. I'll be back in a few minutes. Any plans to get the product in local restaurants? Yes, absolutely. But I'll let Jerrell answer all of your questions after we post the video.
Definitely.
We love you guys. Be back in a bit.
Thank you.